Hey, welcome back if you're returning. We're looking at the Maesters again today, and we're in the Crownlands, which is this whole area here. It does include Dragonstone, which is the seat to the heir of the Iron Throne in King's Landing, and is where we're going to start today with Maester Culiper. Now, he's served House Targaryen at Dragonstone since Queen Visenya Targaryen's day, so at least since 44 AC. In 48 AC, King Gerardys Targaryen was coronated, and by 50 AC, Culiper was being assisted by two younger maesters. Culiper wrote about King Gerardys Targaryen's time on Dragonstone in his youth, and he later wrote to the Citadel about Andrei Farman, the husband of Queen Rhaena Targaryen. Not to be confused with Rhaenyra, we'll get there. Rhaena. In 54 AC, when a sickness struck Dragonstone, Culiper ruled out the sweating sickness, the shaking sickness, and grayscale, and informed Rhaena that a number of diseases were suspect. Culiper was the first to die of the illness, 2 days after he'd first felt ill. After Culiper's death, all of the female friends of Queen Rhaena died of the same illness. These were Cassella Staunton, Septa Mariam, Elaine Royce, and Samantha Stokeworth. Once the symptoms of the illness were described to the small council of Gerardys Targaryen by Maester Anselm, Culiper's successor, Lord Rhaego Draz recognised it as the symptoms of the Tears of Lys, a strong poison. Draz hypothesised that Culiper had been poisoned first because he would have recognised the signs of the poison. When the small council realised that the description matched the poison known as the Tears of Lys, it sent a warning to the castle. Anselm was found in the rookery with a dagger in his back. Queen Rhaena's husband, Andrei Farman, later admits that he had poisoned Culiper and the others as revenge on Rhaena and her friends who had belittled him. In his eyes, I think they just kind of left him out of their fun and games, and he felt sad. Anyway, on to the next one. With Rhaenyra, we have Gerardys. He served Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen on Dragonstone when she moved from the capital to the heir's seat. In the show, we see Rhaenyra move her family there after spending a few years in court, and the book's also true to this, but it doesn't tell you exactly what year she moved there. Rhaenyra's husband spends most of his time away, and the rumours of her children being bastards are running rampant in court. I'd estimate it probably was 117 AC, the year of Joffrey's birth, because then that would give them time to move to Dragonstone and settle in before Laenor and Laena's deaths in 120 AC. Also, we're not sure if Gerardys was serving in court at King's Landing with Rhaenyra, or if he was just on Dragonstone anyway, like as the Maester of Dragonstone. But given Rhaenyra's trust in him and the fact that she would have been named as the Princess of Dragonstone and the person whose seat it is, if he was the Maester of Dragonstone, it could be that he was just assigned to Rhaenyra and in King's Landing with her. Maester Gerardys also flew with Prince Daemon Targaryen to help his wife, Lady Laena Velaryon, after a difficult childbirth, but they arrived too late. When King Viserys Targaryen fell ill and sliced his hand on the Iron Throne, Rhaenyra flew Gerardys, he was a more gifted healer, she thought, to King's Landing after Grand Maester Pylos was unsuccessful in treating the laceration. Gerardys amputated 2 of the king's fingers, and that saved his life. After Pylos passed away, Rhaenyra recommended that Gerardys take the place of Grand Maester. Queen Alicent, on the other hand, she wanted Maester Alfador, who had served House Hightower. Beset from both sides, Viserys chose neither, reminding both his wife and daughter that the Citadel would decide who filled the office. Archmaester Orwell was in the end selected by the Conclave as the new Grand Maester. Rhaenyra goes on to make Gerardys her own Grand Maester when she becomes queen. You can hear all about that in the Grand Maester videos. So, we'll move on to the next one, which is Bendemeer. He was a Maester and the author of 6 Times to Sea, which is an account of the great voyages of Alan Oakenfist. Now, he may or may not have been the Maester at Driftmark during the time of Lord Alan Velaryon. Next, we have Maester Rowley, and he was a maester who became the Lord Confessor under King Aegon Targaryen III. He studied at the Citadel under Archmaester Sandeman, who was a wise healer. After the downfall of George Graceford, young Rowley was appointed as the new Lord Confessor by Lord Torren Manderley, the Hand of the King in 136 AC. Munkin was quoted as saying to Torren Manderley, "A man who knows how to ease pain will also know how to inflict it. But it is also important that we have a Lord Confessor who sees his work as duty, not pleasure." Next, we're on to Yormwell, and he was the personal maester of Prince Baelor Targaryen in at least the year 209 AC. During the tourney at Ashford Meadow, Yormwell treated Prince Maekar after the trial of the Seven. That's all we're going to say on that, because Duncan Egg spoilers. Next, we've got Melwys, born Melwys Rivers, and he is the bastard son of Lord Walder Frey of the Crossing. He is in service to House Rosby at Rosby, and with Lord Giles Rosby having that infamous cough that irritates the hell out of Cersei in A Feast of Crows, I imagine Melwys's main duty is telling Giles to quit smoking. I'm joking, but dealing with his cough. Although we don't know if Melwys came to court with Lord Giles when he's there with Cersei in A Feast of Crows, so he may be back at Rosby. And on that note, there is an unnamed ward back at Rosby, which is potentially theorized to be like Oliver Frey, who was Rob's squire, disappeared before the Red Wedding, but his mother was Bethany Rosby, the sixth wife to Lord Walder Frey. So there is that connection if they want to go and hide him, to send him to Rosby. And as a Rob loyalist, he wouldn't let Lannister people in, would he? And when Felice Stokeworth and her husband, Sir Balman Birch, tried to go there and stay the night on their way to King's Landing, he doesn't let them in, because why would he let a Lannister loyalist access the seat he's controlling? And further to that, if this ward is Oliver, then he would be born in 281 AC, which means Oliver would now have reached the age of, majority, meaning he doesn't need a Castellan to approve the orders. He can have that say-so. So if Melwys Rivers, the maester there, is there with Oliver Frey, I wonder what's going on there. They wouldn't have any house loyalties to Freys, because Rivers would be a bastard, so no chance of inheritance. Oliver Frey would be very upset with what his family's done. I wonder if any letters have left Rosby and what they would be saying. What do you think? Lastly, we're going back to Dragonstone and on to Maester Cressen. Maester Cressen served as the Maester of Storm's End originally, so I guess he should be considered a Stormland Maester, but we see him working on Dragonstone, so we're counting him here. And he's also the POV in A Clash of Kings, and he's serving Lord Stannis Baratheon there. In his youth at the Citadel, he must have served under Archmaester Walgrave, because Walgrave often confuses the novice Pate with Cressen. In 278 AC, following the wreck of the Windproud in Shipbreaker Bay, Cressen helped identify the deceased. When the full Patchface washed ashore 3 days after the shipwreck, Sir Harbert, the Castellan of Storm's End at the time, suggested that the mad boy be given the gift of mercy with milk of the poppy, but Cressen refused to agree. In the end, Cressen won that argument, and Patchface continues to live to this day. He's Shireen's little buddy. Says a lot of weird gibberish, but he's still around. Because Lord Stephen Baratheon and his wife Castana Estamont had died in the wreck, Cressen had raised the Baratheon children. His favourite was Stannis, who needed Cressen more because he lacked the charm of his brothers. Cressen came to regard Stannis as the son he never had. Cressen was at Storm's End when it was being besieged during Robert's rebellion, and when Sir Gawain Wild and 3 other knights were caught trying to sneak out of a postern gate to surrender, Stannis, who held command, prepared to have them hurled at the Tyrell host via catapult. Cressen convinced him instead to imprison the men, pointing out that the castle might at some point be forced to eat their dead. What a thought. And the 4 knights were good meat. Cressen attended the knighting of Sir Davos Seaworth, the Onion Knight, by Stannis after the siege. When Stannis was named Lord of Dragonstone by his brother King Robert Baratheon, Cressen followed him to the ancient stronghold, and in either 289 or 290 AC, Stannis' daughter Shireen contracted grayscale. Though Cressen was able to save her life, disease almost killed her and left her disfigured. Cressen feels that her sadness is a mark of his failure. I mean, Stannis supposedly got healers in from everywhere. I think they did the best they can, they saved the girl's life. He tried. In 297 AC, Cressen fell and broke his hip while climbing up the narrow twisted steps of Sea Dragon Tower, and afterwards was no longer able to climb to the rookery. In 298 AC, when Cressen fell ill, the Citadel sent the young Maester Pylos to Dragonstone. It was said that he was to be Cressen's assistant, but Cressen knew the truth of it, that Pylos was there to be his replacement. In a clash of kings, Cressen receives Shireen Baratheon and Patchface when they come to see the White Raven the Citadel is sent to the islands to announce the end of summer. He attempts to soothe her worries about being eaten by a dragon and discusses the Red Comet with her. After Stannis declares himself king, he unsuccessfully sends messengers to gather support for his claim, with only the vassals of Dragonstone supporting him. The Lords of the Stormlands support Stannis' younger brother, Renly Baratheon, who has also named himself king. Cressen advises Stannis to ally with the Starks and the Arryns, but Stannis insists that those crowning Robb Stark as king in the north are committing treason. Stannis' queen, Lady Selyse Florent, urges Stannis to rely solely on R'hllor and says that Renly will die soon, according to Melisandre, the Red Priestess. Cressen thinks that Selyse is suggesting kinslaying and is shocked when Stannis dismisses him to listen to Selyse's counsel. Cressen blames Melisandre and her madness and plans to kill her. Stannis commands Maester Pylos to let Cressen rest, but Cressen insists upon attending the feast that night. After Patchface collides with Cressen and causes the old man to fall, Melisandre places the fool's belled helm on Cressen's head, which the Maester removes. Because of Cressen's age, Stannis announces that he will now be taking counsel from the younger Pylos. Cressen is eventually seated beside Sir Davos Seaworth. He puts the Strangler, a potent poison, in Davos's cup of wine, shaking off the knight's hands and protesting. Instead, Cressen invites Melisandre to drink from the cup with him. Apparently aware of Cressen's plan, Melisandre suggests that he can still spill the wine, but Cressen insists that they share the cup. Melisandre drinks the majority of the wine and remains unaffected. When Cressen drinks the final sip, the poison kills him. After Cressen's death, the gossip on Dragonstone is that Cressen had challenged R'hllor and been struck down for his impiety. When Davos meets with Stannis after the burning of Dragonstone's wooden statues of the Seven, Stannis admits that he had not wanted Cressen at the feast. Despite his anger at the Maester's counsel, Stannis had not wanted the old man dead. Stannis has always trusted Cressen due to his long service, but in the end he decided to listen to Selyse and Melisandre. It is sad, because Cressen always thought of himself as a father figure to Stannis. Cressen thinks, when a Maester donned his collar, he put aside the hope of children, yet Cressen had often felt a father nonetheless. Robert, Stannis, Renly, 3 sons he had raised after the angry sea claimed Lord Stefan. Had he done so ill that now he must watch one kill the other? He could not allow it, would not allow it. So he kind of put his personal feelings above his Maester's duties, I think. It kind of turns out Stannis might have thought of him in the same way as well, because in Theon's Winds of Winter chapter, he tells another Maester, Tybalt, I had a Maester on Dragonstone who was almost a father to me. So on to Stannis' next Maester, Pylos, the eventual replacement for Cressen. No more than 25 years old, He arrived on Dragonstone to be Cressen's assistant in 298 AC. His rooms were only half a turn down the steps from Cressen's, in earshot of the elderly Maester. Pylos is solemn and quiet. He is always correct and precise with his speech. The young Maester is clever and diligent and well-meaning, as well as kind and courageous. He can see a man's worth is more than his birth. And that's true, we'll come to find that. Among other duties, Pylos does all of the work with the ravens, since Cressen is unable to climb the stairs to the rookery. In A Clash of Kings, when the Citadel sends a white raven to announce the end of summer, Pylos is the one that shows the bird to Shireen. And on the night of the feast that Cressen was allowed to sleep through, on Cressen's query, Pylos blushes and tells him that Stannis had ordered him not to awaken Cressen. Obviously then Cressen poisons Melisandre and, himself, dies, and that solidifies Pylos as the new Maester. Pylos helps to prepare Stannis' letters to all of the lords of Westeros, which proclaims him as the true king. In the letter, Stannis asserts that Sir Jaime Lannister, not King Robert Baratheon, is the father of Queen Cersei Lannister's children, and thus Joffrey Baratheon is a bastard born of incest and is illegitimately sitting the Iron Throne. When Pylos includes a harmless courtesy in the letter, calling Stannis' brother Robert his beloved brother, Stannis considers it a falsehood and orders the words removed. He is so funny on it, I love Stannis sometimes. In A Storm of Swords, when Davos Seaworth is imprisoned in Dragonstone's dungeons, he takes ill and Maester Pylos treats him with hot garlic broth, milk of the poppy, and leechings. Pylos also leeches the sick Edric Storm, the bastard son of the late King Robert, and these blood-filled leeches are used by Melisandre in her ritual to curse the false kings Joffrey Baratheon, Balon Greyjoy, and Robb Stark. Maester Pylos educates the noble children on Dragonstone, Princess Shireen, Edric, and Devon Seaworth, Davos' son. Because Shireen's companion, before Patchface, does not sit still and his bells are always making noise, Pylos forbids him from attending Shireen's lessons. Rightly so. After the lowborn Davos Seaworth is raised to the position of Stannis' Hand of the King, he seeks out Maester Pylos for guidance. Pylos reassures Davos that he is well suited for the position, and he offers to teach the former smuggler how to read and write. You'd think he's got enough on his plate, but no, he's like, come on dude, I'll help you. Pylos tells Davos, any man can read, my lord. There is no magic needed, nor high birth. I am teaching the art to your son at the king's command. Let me teach you as well. During the process, Pylos shows Davos a letter from Maester Aemon of the Night's Watch, begging for assistance from the Five Kings against the wildling forces of Mance Rayder and the oncoming threat of the others. Pylos tells Davos that Stannis had not yet seen the letter, as the previous hand, Lord Alistair Florent, had deemed it not worth Stannis' attention or resources. Pylos is made aware of Davos' plan to remove Edric from Dragonstone to keep him safe from Melisandre's scheme to sacrifice him, and chooses to cooperate with it. While Pylos is teaching some to the boy, Davos arrives at Sea Dragon Tower with several men. Pylos encourages the boy to follow Davos' orders. The Onion Lord thinks Pylos could be executed if Stannis judges the plan as treason and appreciates the Maester's courage. Edric is taken on the Mad Prendos to the Free Cities. Davos thinks that he had been uncertain of Pylos. Perhaps he resented him for taking old Cressen's place, but now he could only admire the man's courage. This could mean his life as well. In A Feast of Crows, though Stannis and his army have left for the wall, Pylos remains at Dragonstone as part of its garrison, with Sir Roland Storm serving as castellan. Lord Paxter Redwine leads the siege of Dragonstone, with the Redwine fleet ferrying House Lannister's soldiers to the island. In response to the taking of the shields, Sir Loras Tyrell is given the command of the siege by Queen Regent Cersei. She hopes he dies, and according to Orraine Waters, Loras successfully assaults Dragonstone, though the young knight is gravely wounded whilst taking the castle. Aurene reports that the Maesters refuse to leech Loras because he has lost too much blood already. There's a bit of a question mark about whether the report on Loras is true or not. Like, is he actually as dead and dying as Cersei is being told? She can't really trust Aurene Waters because he just up and goes with those ships when she gets put in prison. But Pylos would still be the Maester at the Rookery at Dragonstone. So I wonder if any letters have left there and what they might say. If they're to Tyrells, to the Citadel, someone else. What do you think? Let me know. And as always, if you liked the video, don't forget to like it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Leave me a comment, tell me how your day's going, and turn on your notifications. So I'll see you next time. Cool. Cheerio.